the wrong button completely, and everything just died. Everything just died completely. But anyway, welcome back. Second time lucky tonight. Welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View. And hopefully some people will jump back on, realising that the other live just totally disappeared. That's what I get for pressing the wrong buttons, isn't it? Whilst we've all got over the excitement of yesterday's fans not being too happy. They all got a little bit excited today with the result in the game this afternoon. But the reality is the fact that we do travel to Italy on Tuesday, or will it be Wednesday morning that the players will travel? It'll probably be the Tuesday that Celtic will travel over to Italy for the game. And it's a game of vast importance. It is the Champions League. Currently Celtic, it was all nice while Celtic were sitting quite high in the Champions League without trying to paper over the cracks. We're sitting in 20th position. Now, is that in and around where the Celtic players, management staff and backroom staff all thought they would be? And I think yes. I think realistically the objectives that Celtic will have set themselves for the Champions League will to amass at least between 9 and 12 points. And they will know that the target will be a minimum of 9 points to try and get to progress just to the next two games. If we finish in the top 24 to, is it 16 or something? I can't remember. When you finish there, you go through, you play another two games in the Champions League. And I think that will be as far as Celtic will go. Will they manage to do that for the first time? Will we, in this new format? Everyone is doing it for the first time in the new format. So it's just going to be a case of let's see what happens in Italy. Brendan Rodgers has came out. Yeah, no. Dave, exactly. You've thrown me now. Brendan Rodgers has been speaking, obviously, about the game and at Atalanta and Italy, and he's basically said that he wants Celtic to be more compact. I thought that we were quite compact in the way that he had us playing in the midfield. Now, I need to get new antihistamines because these ones are crap. When you look at the way that we played against Dortmund, our midfield three were quite compact together. It doesn't mean that the wingers need to come back into sort of a more midfield five. Is that what Brendan Rodgers means by playing more compact? I think it is. I said at the time, why aren't we playing 4-5-1 formation rather than the 4-3-3? Brendan Rodgers he's come out and said that we need to be more compact and still offensive and still aggressive in our play. For me, the easy answer for Celtic to do in Italy is just go straight out, play 4 at the back, 5 in the midfield, bring your 2 wingers back so that they're level with the midfield players. Bring your midfield players into the centre as he tried to do against Dortmund. And maybe Brendan Rodgers, that's what he wanted to play against Dortmund, but the players just didn't manage to get it on. But anyway, well, we can all laugh about the score that the Sevco got this afternoon. We now turn our thoughts to more important matters. And the most important matter of the season so far is Atalanta versus Celtic is up next, and it's a game that many Celtic fans think that we could get something from. Where are they in the Italian league? Let me just double check. They won their last game. They won today against Venezia. They won 2-0. They scored on the 7th minute and they scored on the 47th minute. So, 7 minutes into the first half, and then on the 47th minute, or was that into the second half, or was it before? Highlights. Let me just see. So they do sit 6th in the Italian league. They sit 6th in the Italian league, just above Lazio. Napoli are away at front in the Italian league and 19 points. with 8 games played. Juventus are on 16. Inter Milan are on 15. AC Milan are 14. Fiorentina are on 13. And then Atalanta are on 13 points in the Italian league. Their last run of 5 games, they've won, they've drawn, they've lost, and then they've won. So they have. Now this is where it's important for Celtic to think about. They've got goals for 18 and goals against 13. So there has been 13 goals shipped in against Atalanta on a domestic level. But Celtic have only shipped in 3 goals all season. Let's not talk about the Dortmund game, because you're going to say, well, we got absolutely humped in Dortmund. Is this a game that realistically Celtic can get something out of? Is it a game that we can realistically get something out of? Because I think when you look at the European level, and when you look at especially the Champions League, the fact that Celtic are sitting in 20th, Atalanta are only on 4 points. They are only on 4 points in the Champions League. Their goal difference, just see their goal difference. Goal difference is 3, and Celtic's is -2 due to that unbelievable scoreline. So Celtic are going to have to score a couple of goals against the Italians. Can we get our firepower right? Can we get the team playing right? Can we be compact in the midfield and be defensive minded enough in the midfield to push on in Italy? And Atalanta are a better team than Dortmund, says Wilson QW. Really? Do you think so? I've never watched them this season. They did win 2-0 today. What was the general scores this week? Just say 5th of October. Why are they not playing? Don't tell me they've given them the weekend off. Have they? Tuesday. Why is the German league not been playing? The Friday the 18th. They played on Friday night. And they beat St. Pauli. They beat St. Pauli 2-1. And Dortmund are also sitting 7th in the league. So they are sitting 7th in the league. They've been beaten 2 out of the last 5 games domestically. Says a lot about the German league, when the Celtic were ripped apart so easily in Germany. So easily. Right, let's jump into the comment section, because we haven't this evening, and we're going to say good evening to everyone. Jim McClarty was first in. Evening everyone. John McCullum was in. Neil is in. Jem was in. Evening. Paul Baird is in. John says, I found that Stevie's big cool Stevie 1972. What a joke. Stevie cool. Yep. Davey's talking about the hat. Michael Ross says, hail, hail, top of the league. Please don't forget that. Yeah, we are top of the league. And I think that I'm glad I didn't do a live on the Saturday, because people can be heated on the Saturday right after games, and they can not be thinking things straight. And you tend to sort of comment on the reactionary side. And it can sometimes come to bite you in the back. Coke Zero is the best soda in the world, says Jason. I got it. Came with a kebab meal deal, because I couldn't be bothered cooking. Even Baz says PS3 Retro TV, cracking little channel. You need to check that out. Paul Baird, quite a few other people are saying hail to Stephen Johnston. I'll just jump through these. James the boy's in the house. Stephen Johnston's house. Jim's in the house. Our midfield is non-existent versus Dortmund, with the prime culprit being invisible Kalmak. I think that the whole setup, I think playing a narrow three in that midfield was just criminal by Brendan Rodgers. And hopefully he'll bring the front two forward. They're not two forwards, they're wingers. I think he needs to make sure that the wingers are more defensive minded and in line with the midfield. I'm going to hate to go to the doctors and get Piriton. It's driving me nuts. It's pollen season over here. Pollen, and I'm allergic to the dog. It's fantastic. Anyway, evening bars from a windy Cowan and Beath. Hope you enjoyed the Killie score as much as me. Yes, I did, Scotty boy, and you missed the live earlier on. Rodgers deploys our side as he did against Dortmund. Will once again be the laughing stock. Brendan Rodgers and the team will know that they need to perform better in Europe. Brendan Rodgers ultimately knows that can this team up its game to perform in the European scene. And does Brendan Rodgers have it in his managerial capabilities to put out a team and play a style of football that can get a good result in Europe? And by I mean a good result, I mean it was fine winning our first game. We were expected to win that first game. We've never had such an easy game in the Champions League in a long time. But let's not dismiss the fact that we've got 3 points in the Champions League already. And I think that I've said it before, but you listen to Brendan, they sat and they looked at the games and they will know which games that they could potentially win. And they know which games that ultimately they weren't going to get really realistically. They're not going to come out and say it. They're not going to come out before they go to Dortmund and say, look, I don't think that we're going to win this game. Even though that the Celtic fans at the time were ecstatic with the form that Celtic were in, I didn't see how we could beat a German team that was that as good as what they are. But some people say that they're not that good. So Michael Ross says, we'll be a laughing stock if Rodgers plays the same way again. Gemma says, hey, Stephen. Jim F's in the house. Atalanta are better than Dortmund, says Wilson QW. Which made me go and look at the league positions. There are similar positions in the league. So if they are better, it's going to be some game. Must not have paid my membership to get my green name. I can't read any member only stuff. Pay later on. It says Scotty boy. That's cool. Just do that later on, Scotty. David, Stephen Johnson, Jamesy boy says we need to go with two holding midfield players to help protect the back four to stop us getting ripped apart again. In that case, would you drop Arne Engels? Would you drop Arne Engels and would you bring on Luke McCowan from the start? He's a good few years older than Arne Engels. I think I said it this morning's video, I think that we're putting too much pressure on Arne Engels. When a player comes in for a price tag, it is not the player's fault of the enhanced price tag. It's what the club valued the player at, and it's what Celtic ultimately valued the player at when they spent 11 million on Arne Engels. He's a player that's got potential, of great potential, and a higher level of potential than the normal potential players that we buy in ultimately. He is only 20-year-old, and I think we forget that. We put out our own 20-year-olds out on loan, so I think we just need, and you need to let them settle into the country as well. But I thought a game, we'll need to see what Coon could do this weekend. Fearing the worst but hoping for the best, says Desmond Donnelly. Jim says, if you have a dog in the same room as you, Baz, and the fan is on, it's going to make you worse. Yeah, I know that. That's why the dog's no longer in the room and the fan's on. And yeah, it's fun and games. I'll turn this light down a bit. Hail Stephen says Paradise Found. Right, let's get back into to see what Brendan Rodgers was saying about the European game coming up. Speaking after the Saturday's 2-2 game with Aberdeen, Celtic manager Brendan Rodgers said he's expecting a difficult evening, but he expects his team to be difficult to break down. So I think Brendan Rodgers is going to go with a more defensive-minded setup. Which, listen, you can always concede goals, but it's all down to looking for us to press and to be it'll be a totally different game Well, let's hope so, because we didn't press against Aberdeen much in the first 10-15 minutes of the second half, and look what happened. So we're going to have to be as defence-minded as we've ever been in Europe. And it'll be interesting to see how defensive-minded the Celtic manager does go. Atalanta haven't played before then. Obviously, seeing them play, it's a totally different game. They're probably not the best on man-to-man marking team in the world. That's how they work. They're probably the best man-to-man marking team. Well, that's not good news, Brendan. If they're going to man-mark, they'll man-mark Kuhn. They'll man-mark Dyson. And they'll know if you man-mark Callum McGregor, you have basically nullified Celtic. The football will be different, but we have already had that, says Brendan Rodgers. If you're not quite on it, and you're not quite compact, and you've not got it tight, you're not aggressive, then we could get punished at this very high level. But for us, we were disappointed to lose 2 goals against Aberdeen. We showed great reaction, and we should win the game on the chances that we had. And when you look at the amount of attempts on goal we had, we should have won the game against Aberdeen, but we didn't. And we're doing an injustice to Aberdeen to say that we should have. They played absolutely brilliant. And Brendan did go on to say you have to give credit to Aberdeen. They defended manfully, and especially during the last period. Celtic are going to have to do that. Can Celtic defend the way that Aberdeen did against us yesterday? Celtic in Europe is, you never know what you're going to get. After the opening win against Slovar Bratislava, you're thinking Celtic are playing fantastic domestically. We're playing a nice style of football at that time, and now we seem to be grinding out results and even dropping points for the first time this season. But it is early on in the season, and sometimes a result like we just had yesterday will give the manager enough team talk material to motivate the players, and make sure that they're ready for the game on Wednesday. The players would have had a day off today to relax and have a little giggle at the score lines as they came in today. But they'll be back in training first thing tomorrow morning. Danny says, hey Baz, it's me again, but I'm not saying anything about Arne Engels yet again. I think we got it ripped off for him. It's Danny from the Garden of God. You must know me, eh? There you go, Danny. Desmond Donnelly says, I like Arne, honestly. Arne, Paolo and Luke could be a great midfield. With Kalmak holder role, that would be class. That would give you 4 in midfield, so you're going to lose wingers. You'd have to lose a winger. I don't think Celtic would play like that. Hopefully, Big Toe is back. Would you risk him? Would you risk it for a biscuit? With Cameron and Carter Vickers. I'm not too sure about that. Better late than never, says Chowpill. Des will say, I mean, Davey, he's not as tall as people think. Danny Cassidy says, well, I think we will win. My favourite scoreline will be 3-1. My favourite player, Kyogo, will score if he starts. Baz Biggin. I think that Kyogo will start. Kyogo, and I'm going to say Rio Hatate will probably start. I think if anyone's going to be dropped from the team, it may be Arne Engels. Anyway, it's just a quick one for tonight, because the longer I'm on tonight, the more my sinuses are getting choked up. So I'm going to call it quits. Lorna, it's Sunday Night Live, spoilers. Lorna, I've been on for 20 minutes, and the dogs came back into the room, and it's playing havoc with my sinuses. But anyway, let's see if there's any other Celtic news kicking about before it picks up. Pundit defiant Celtic title prediction as EPA. We'll leave it at that. Michael Stewart was left baffled by the Celtic Rangers VAR controversy. Now I've seen the alleged penalty, and I was going to put up the slow motion version of it, but you know, it is what it is. It's in the past. There was a chance of Celtic could have had a penalty towards the end, but VAR didn't think it. There's certain people in the media thinks that Aberdeen's goal should have stood. Look, it is what it is. First of all, you can 100% say with the penalty shout at the end, it doesn't look like it strikes his arm. insisted Michael Stewart. It comes off his thigh and his midriff. It was never a penalty kick. The disallowed goal, still don't have complete clarity from the officials on it because it comes off Duke's arm. So there's no question about it. My understanding, the law has changed about 3 years ago. If it was accidental handball that leads to a teammate scoring, it would be penalised. Anyway, who cares? It's past. We're still top of the league. We've actually increased from 5 to 6 points, which is fantastic. That's all we need to worry about. We've got bigger things and uglier things to worry about. I will be back with a video tomorrow morning. I'll probably be live at 9 a.m. as always. And then so many good times on this channel. Yeah, there is that. And it's always good when we get these smaller ones with just the right good community on. Lanky returns. It wasn't a penalty. Desmond McDonald says 100% best channel for the real times. Danny Cassis says definitely a penalty. You should show it. I don't think it was a penalty. I want to move on from it because I think that we need to really focus now and focus on the game in hand, which is the Atalanta versus Celtic game on Wednesday evening. It's a game that if Celtic have got, realistically, I mean, even I says it right at the start when we've seen the games come out in the order that they did. So get 3 points on the board for the first game, and then if we get anything out of the next 2 games, it's a bonus. But then focus on the games after that. And Celtic, that's what we need to do. We need to focus on the games after it in the Champions League. If we do manage to get anything in Italy, it will be a bonus. We'll be looking for a strong performance and not to lose a cricket score number of goals like we did in Dortmund. If we're going to lose, I'd rather lose 2-1 or 1-0. We really need Taylor back, says Chilpil, and Carter Vickers. Yes, we do. If that was against us, we'd be shouting no penalty. Good night, God bless to everyone. Trust is too slow, says Chilpil. I'm away to steam my nose under some hot water and some other stuff and take some more antihistamine and then go to my bed because I've had enough for the day. Anyway, we are sitting on 19,421 subscribers. It's been a good old day being a Celtic fan. It's been interesting. It's been funny. For all the doom and gloom that was around about yesterday afternoon, and I'm glad I couldn't do a live yesterday afternoon after the game because we were at a pub that was just getting drowned out by techno music by the Spanish bar across the road who was having a little fiesta because of the tapas tour. It was probably good waiting until this morning and then having time to think about it. And then there's the result as it transpired today played right into our hands. So I shook hands with an Aberdeen fan tonight just outside the pub that we were in yesterday. And I said, remember when you play them in a couple of weeks' time? Do them good style and create a 9-point gap. And on that note, have an absolutely fantastic evening, Celtic fans all around.